Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you guys in our Digital Skills Empowerment Program. As I said earlier on, in this training, I'm going to hold you by the hand and walk you through from scratch to finish on how to design a professional website. By the end of this course, you should be able to design at least one professional website. And if you are able to design one professional website, it means you can design two professional websites. And if you are able to design two professional websites, it means you can design three professional websites, and so on. So without wasting much time, I would like to explain certain terms that will help us understand what we are going to do. So let's go in. One might want to know what a website is. A website is typically a collection of web pages that is being accessible over the internet. Or a website is a collection of interconnected web pages hosted on a server and accessible through the domain name on the internet. Well, with all this grammar, don't worry, let me try to explain it this way. Assuming you want to start a business, first things first, you need to at least get a name for the business, right? After securing or getting name for the business, you register it with the registered general department to claim ownership or to secure that name of that particular business to yourself. Now, after getting the name of your business registered, you need to get a space or a store where you put all your business items or your store items such that your customers can come and then have access to it or come and buy. So the same thing applies in designing a website. The moment you have that idea that you want to create a website, you need to at least have a name for that website. And in this case, it is called a domain name. The name of your website is called a domain name. Then, after getting the domain name, you need to register it. Or after conceiving the domain name, you need to register the name of the website or the domain name to secure that domain name such that nobody else can register a name or can claim that domain name from you. Then after that, you now get a store or a space, more like an online store, where you put all the files, that is the pictures, the audios, the write-ups, and everything about the website will be kept so that people can use your domain name to access those particular files. And this online store is what we call the hosting. Now, one thing you have to know is, in hosting your website on a particular hosting, just like getting store for your business, the bigger your store space, that means you can put in more items into your store. So the same thing applies in hosting. When you subscribe for a hosting, the bigger your storage, the more files you can store or you can upload online. And just like you getting a store for your business, sometimes, mostly, just like in getting store for your business, mostly it's on rent. So after every year or 2 or 3 years, you need to renew it. So the same thing applies in hosting. So when you register or when you subscribe to a hosting plan, it's subjected to renewable, probably every 1 year or every 2 years, depending on the kind of contract you enter with the hosting company. So it means that this your online store, you have to keep paying the rent probably on yearly basis or however you are going to enter into the contract with the company. Good. So that is just basically how the website works. So this is just basically how I want you to understand what the website is. So the website consists of your domain name, your hosting, and then all your files that you'll be uploading into your hosting for your audience to get access to. So now let's move ahead and then look at other items. This domain name and hosting, which I already said earlier on, the domain name is simply the name of your website, which could be asoyangh.com, onemusicgh.com, whatever website.com, whatever domain name.com it is. That is the name of your domain, and that is your domain. And then the hosting, like I said earlier on, is the space or the storage where all your files will be kept for your audience to have access to it. Now the next thing is World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is simply a collection of websites in the world. So usually when you want to access one particular website or web page, you enter www, then you add a domain name. Good. What you are simply telling the web browser is that it should look around all the websites in the world and search for this particular domain name. So that is how come you always type www, then you enter the domain name.com. So that is typically what that means. www is just collection of all the websites in the world. Now the next item I want us to look at is what? The URL. The URL is simply a uniform resource locator, or just a unique name for your website. This is what browsers use to communicate with your hosting server, to exchange information, or for the server to fetch some kind of information from your hosting to your audience. So basically, a complete URL is made up of two parts. We have just like this one, https://assoyangea.com. Now let me explain that. So the https :/ stands for the protocol. That is the means through which web browsers communicate with your hosting server so that they can understand each other. And then the assoyangea.com is the main domain name. The domain name is the assoyangea.com, and the https : is the protocol, and together they come together to give you what? The URL. So anybody that enters this into the website, it will automatically take them to what? Our website, assoyangea.com, where you can get access to what? All the files on our hosting server. Good. And one thing I also want to hammer on is that just like you go to register your business name, register general department, that one is also subjected to renewals. At least every year or two, you need to go and then renew and reclaim your what? Your business name. So the same thing applies to in website design too. When you register your domain name, you are subjected to renew this domain name registration probably every year or two, so that you can maintain or keep this domain name to yourself. Now what happens when you fail to renew your domain name or your hosting? When you fail to register your domain name, that means people can no longer have access to your website. It means it is taken off air. Yes, the store will be there, but the name will just be blank. People will come, they wouldn't even be able to identify whether this is your store or not, because your name that will make it stand out as unique, or that will boldly be there to show that it's your store, will not be there. Now what happens when your hosting expires? When your hosting expires, it means your store has vanished. People will now come to where they know your store is. They'll come and the store is not there. Thin air, everything, it will just vanish into the thin air. They will not see anything again. So what I'll encourage is that usually before your domain name or your hosting expire, try and make sure that at least you renew it. Make sure you renew it before it expires. Else, when you allow it to expire before you renew it, one, it will reduce your ranking on search engines, because people will search for information and then Google can no longer recommend your website to them, which means you have been ranked lower. And when you are ranked lower, you know what that means. You are not going to get more traffic again. And if you don't get traffic, definitely it's going to affect you. So this is just, as we move on, you get to understand all these things better. So now, the next thing I want us to look at, how to secure your website. To secure your website, there are different things that you can do, or ways you can do to secure your website. But basically, to secure your website, you need to install what we call the SSL. To secure your website, there are so many ways of securing your website. But basically, we are going to look at SSL. SSL simply means Secure Socket Layer. What this does is that it encrypts the information from what? Your user to the server, such that anybody trying to intercede or interfere into what? In between the communication between the user and then your server will not be able to do so. So usually that is how come when you open any website, you see this, what do you call it? That is how come when you open any security website, you see this padlock attached to the URL. You see this thing there attached to it. So when you open a website that doesn't have this URL, that means the information you are sending to the server is not what? Secured. People can intercede, or people can just interfere and then modify or edit the message and send it to whoever or wherever you want it to go. So basically, having your website secured with SSL is the first step in securing your website. Like I said, there are so many ways of securing your website. Probably when we delve in, you get to understand much more better. So let me show you an example of a website that doesn't have SSL. So this is what you see when your website doesn't have SSL, or when a website doesn't have SSL. This is what you see instead of the normal padlock that you are supposed to see on the the URL. So this is what you see. Then something like this, and you have this information. Mostly when people try to access your website, this is what they will see, and you have to click on advanced, and then before they can proceed to have access to what information on your website. So when your SSL, or so when your site doesn't have SSL, it affects you and then your audience as well. Now let's look at types of domains. In naming domain names or in naming website, there are formalities that or criteria that are used to naming what? Domains or website. So when you see a website that ends with .com, just like asongA.com, that means it's a commercial or what? General purpose website. And when you see a website that ends with what? .net, that means it's for what? A network or what? A technical website. And when you see a website that ends with what? .org, that means it's organizational website. And when you see any website that ends with what? .edu, that means it's educational website. And .gov is for governmental institutions. And .mil, that's mail, is for military website. So in designing a website, you always need to be professional. You don't just go and create any website and then use any domain name on it. That is how come even these days, before you use any of these extensions, you need to verify. Before they will go ahead to register you with this kind of extensions. So .com, which is the very common one, is registered everywhere. Like most of the companies can register you .com, can register a .com domain name for you. But .edu and then .gov, that one, you have to prove that yes, you are really an educational institution and then or a governmental institution before you can have access to those kind of customized domain names. And sometimes you can even have .gh, that signifies what? You are in Ghana. .gh simple means Ghana. So .uk means UK. .us and so on and so on and so on. So all those things are customized domain names that you can register. So if you are creating let's say a website for organization or a charity website, you don't need to use .com. At least since it's what? Charity organization, you can use .org or .org. If you are creating a website for a school, the domain name should be .edu, probably .edu.gh or something like that. So just make it professional. And then now we have other extensions as .blog, .tech, .store, .africa. All these things you can register it depending on the purpose you are creating the website. But like I said, you need to be professional. Don't go and register .gov when you are not what? A governmental institution. Now let's look at other terminologies that you might hear or you might come across during this training. The first one is cPanel. cPanel simple means control panel. This is where you go to have access to all the features that will help you develop your website without using codes. Just like I said, we are going to use drag and drop. We are not going to use codes. And then the next one is WP dashboard. WP Simple means WordPress. So WordPress dashboard is where WordPress is actually that application. It's called a CMS, content management system or content management software. This is actually a software that you are going to use, or application that you are going to use to develop the website. This is that application that has that drag and drop feature, and then to enable you to drag and design your website the way you want it. Now the next item is webmails. Webmails are simply customized emails, just like you have info@aswenga.com, admin@onemusicga.com, or any other kind of customized webmails that you have instead of the regular @gmail.com that we have. Webmails are simply customized email address that you can design or you can create out of what your website. And then the next thing we have is what themes. These themes are simply a pre-designed templates of website that we are going to use, and then we just drag and drop. We customize it to fit the kind of website that we want. That's why I said in this training we are going to reveal so much to you that you always see it online, or you see people doing it, you think it's some kind of tedious or some big deal. Actually, it's not any big deal. You just need to know how to navigate your way through some of these things, and then you are good to go. With this thing, you can design any kind of website you want. Like I said, these things comes with already made or pre-designed websites. So let's say if you want to design a charity website, you just look for a charity website theme. That is a website that is already made with the charity website design. You just pick it, then you now redesign it using that click and drop feature to redesign it and then suit however you want it to be. So I'm going to show you all these things so that you see how very easy and simple this is. This is not difficult. The next item is plugins. These plugins are simply certain things or features that enable your website to perform specific functions or certain functions. So as we delve into this class, you get to see so many things. You get to learn so many things that you think are big deal or are very difficult, but actually they are not all that difficult. They are not just difficult at all. So I want to take my time, explain, and then do all these things to make sure that at the end of the day, even if not for any reason, you can design a website for your own self or for your business. If you have a business, you can just design a website. And then the most amazing part is that I'll also show you how to design a website without spending even one cedi, without spending a penny. Everything will come free. You are going to design this website from scratch to finish for free. Probably all you have to do is just buy data and then make sure you're online, and then you can do all these things. And with this training, all you need is either a computer or a smartphone, but preferably a computer. If you have a computer, you can have or you can view all the features that are available on some of these platforms that you need to design this website. But if you don't have a computer, you can use your smartphone. You can use your smartphone, and then you can still have access to all these things. So don't panic. As the class goes on, you get to understand all these things, and then you can even be a web developer. You can design websites for yourself and for your clients, and you can advertise your services to people to come to you for you to design websites for their businesses or for their organizations or for anything at all. So guys, I'm so excited to have you people here. Thank you so much for enrolling and then trusting in my training. So before I go, I would like you to know that this information I'm going to share with you is a premium information. So please make sure that it's just within you and then ourselves. Don't share it to anybody, please. Don't share it to anybody. And then make sure you subscribe to my channel. I also have other pre-recorded videos about how to do certain things that might even help you answer certain questions with regards to your skills you are learning. So you can subscribe to my channel, and then as and when I upload new videos about certain skills, you can have access to them. Thank you very much. So I'll see you in our first class on how to design our website.